Wait, you're telling me you don't have a list ready to go off the top of your head for this topic? Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 Thanksgiving weekend movie releases. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. Well, it's the first Saturday of the month, so that means it's time for another episode of the Movie Nerds Club. Since Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple of weeks, we decided to take a look at past films released during that big movie weekend. After you watch my top picks for Thanksgiving weekend movie releases, make sure you check out the videos of the other members of the Movie Nerds Club. Links to their videos are in the description below. With Thanksgiving headed our way later this month, at least in the US, we wanted to do something Thanksgiving-y for our topic. I suppose we could have gone the more obvious Thanksgiving set movies route, but the pool of films to draw from would have been somewhat limited that way. So aside from the holiday itself, what else is Thanksgiving known for? New movies. I've never personally been one to rush out to the theater Thanksgiving night, but there are many who do partake in that tradition. So the holiday and holiday weekend have become pretty big for new releases. I, for one, didn't have a list memorized and ready to go for this topic, so I had to look up release dates, and I went through my picks to make sure these only included wide releases rather than limited theatrical releases. Remember, these are just my top movies, not the top movies, so be sure to post your own personal top Thanksgiving weekend movie releases in the comments below. I've already reviewed some of these movies on this channel, so if you want to check those out for some more in-depth thoughts on each of them, I'll put links in the description below and also link them up in the cards as we go along. Alright, let's get this top list started. Coming in at number 5, Coco. That's right, we're kicking things off with some Pixar. There's actually a good deal of animation on this list, and it seems like Thanksgiving weekend is a pretty popular release slot for animated and family films. Personally, I think it would have made more sense to release this particular film at the beginning of November to coincide with Dia de los Muertos, but whatever. Regardless of release timing, Pixar rarely misses, and they hit a home run with this one. The animation here is phenomenal. I realize that's not a particularly unique thing when it comes to Pixar, but it can't go unmentioned. For a movie about death, this is exceptionally vibrant and colorful. The character design is superbly warm, even the ones who are just bones, and no matter how many times I rewatch it, I'm blown away by the lighting. That's not usually something you think of when it comes to animated films, but it's beyond impressive here. As is the case with many Pixar films, the world building and creativity on display here are absolutely engrossing. We get two richly built worlds here, the land of the living and the land of the dead. The film is centered around the celebration of Dia de los Muertos, and it's a cultural exploration that feels lovingly crafted with a heartfelt, universally relatable story at its center. Like most Pixar movies, this film dives into themes more serious than many of its animated counterparts. Death, grief, memory, family, and tradition. And in classic Pixar form, this story also tests the waterworks every time you watch it. Personally, I can never make it through that last rendition of Remember Me without losing it, so I certainly won't be forgetting this movie. Coming in at number 4, The Mist. Okay, so maybe Thanksgiving isn't all family-friendly animated movies. Here, we've got a horror movie that missed the Halloween mark by about a month. I've talked about this one before, in both a previous Movie Nerds Club video, as well as in a separate review during the 2020 edition of 13 Nights of Halloween, but I can't help but include it again. I just love this movie so much. I've been a big fan of Stephen King since I was in junior high. The fact that I live in Maine only heightens that. He's written some amazing stories, and quite a few of them have been adapted into great movies, but The Mist may very well be my favorite Stephen King film. This movie is such a compelling mix of genres. Part Lovecraftian creature feature horror, part sci-fi mystery, part psychological drama. There's a lot going on in this film, which is pretty impressive considering it's mostly a single location movie. It's also an ensemble film, boasting a huge cast of characters. That's not always a great thing, especially when it comes to horror movies, where the films often hinge on your empathy for the characters, but in this case, it actually works. In spite of the huge cast, we're given time with a good chunk of them, and so we actually grow to care about them, or despise them in the case of Mrs. Carmody. This is one of those rare movies where the human element is possibly more frightening than the creatures. And of course, this film is also known for its divisive ending. It's one of my favorite movie endings of all time, if not my absolute favorite, and I can still remember the stunned silence in the theater as those credits rolled. Coming in at number 3, Treasure Planet. Alright, so we're back on track with animation here, and I have a feeling that I'm probably going to be one of the only people to put this particular movie on this list, but I don't care. I adore this film. Disney movies have always been huge for me, and this film is easily my third favorite Disney animated feature. I'll admit that I didn't remember this being a Thanksgiving weekend release, but I do have very fond memories of seeing it in the theater, over and over and over again. In fact, this still holds my theatrical record. I saw this movie 5 times during its initial theatrical run. I know this is another movie that I've talked about before, but again, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's one of those movies that sounds pretty weird. An animated sci-fi adaptation of Treasure Island? Really? A Muppet version wasn't enough? But amazingly, this works so well. It's a super engaging adventure story with incredibly creative world building. I've never been a huge space movie person, but the different ways they incorporate space and aliens and all the other sci-fi elements into the Treasure Island story framework is really cool. It's got some great voice acting, very impressive animation, and solar surfers. What more could you want? Like I said, I know this isn't a popular choice, but this will always be my pick for the most underrated Disney movie. Coming in at number 2, Toy Story. We're back to Pixar again, with the one that started it all. Not only was this Pixar's first feature, but this was also the first CG animated feature film from any studio. Just from a film history standpoint, this movie was a game changer. Just look at the majority of animated films over the last few decades. Nearly all of them were influenced by Toy Story and this incredible animation technique. Nowadays, Toy Story's animation looks a little off and not quite as impressive as it once did. I mean, just compare a screen cap of Toy Story and Toy Story 4 side by side to see how far the styles come. But even so, I still really like the look of it. Maybe it's nostalgia glasses speaking, but it's still an awe-inspiring movie to me. I remember being absolutely captivated by this film in the theater, and being equally as captivated every time I sat down to watch the VHS. The story, and even just the general premise, were mesmerizing as a kid. It was fun, adventurous, imaginative, and really funny. And honestly, it's still all of those things to me, even now as an adult. There are a lot of positives to this film, but one of the most important elements has got to be the characters. They really make this movie. Woody and Buzz are such an iconic duo, and their rivalry turned friendship provide the strong premise with an even sturdier story backbone. And of course, we've got the whole set of secondary characters that add to this. Everybody from Slinky Dog to Mr. Potato Head. This movie had a big impact on me as a kid. Really, the whole franchise did as I grew up. But this first movie is the one that started it and laid the foundation for decades of adventures with these toys. So that means my number 1 Thanksgiving weekend movie release is Mrs. Doubtfire. Everybody's got a few of those personal, all-time greatest comfort movies. You know, the ones you can watch over and over again without getting sick of. The ones that can put you in a good mood no matter what. The ones where if you notice they're on TV, you're practically contractually obligated to drop whatever you're doing and watch them, no matter if it's 5 minutes in or 2 hours in. Well, Mrs. Doubtfire is one of those movies for me. An all-time great and an all-time favorite. I couldn't even venture a guess as to how many times I've watched this one. And you know what? I can't wait to watch it again. At first glance, Mrs. Doubtfire seems like a movie with an incredibly goofy premise. And to be fair, it is, at least in part. But there's more to it than that, and it's such a good movie. Robin Williams is the heart and soul of this movie, and this was actually my introduction to him as a kid, and it's still my favorite performance of his. He's so funny in this. I mean, he's funny in almost all of his movies, especially with the improv, but this film puts a huge smile on my face every time I watch it. His reactions to things, all the one-liners and little jokes that come at you so fast you don't catch them the first time. This movie is endlessly quotable. I use lines from this film in my daily life all the time. It's a hysterical comedy, but it also has a surprising amount of heart to it too. It's centered around a divorce and has some very poignant moments that provide a nice balance with the comedy in the film. Alright, so there you have it. My top 5 Thanksgiving weekend movie releases. What are your top movies? Be sure to post your own ranking in the comments below, and don't forget to check out the pics of the other members of the Movie Nerds Club. Remember, I've already reviewed some of these movies, so you can check those videos out for some more in-depth discussion of each, as well as my ratings, pros and cons, and even tailored film recommendations. Also, if you're interested in buying any of these movies, I do have affiliate links to all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this top list, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or add it to see more videos like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies. The way life should be.